Okay, so Dragon Ball Super episode number 18 officially aired a couple of days ago at this point, or yesterday at this point, depending on when you guys see this, I don't know. But anyways, that episode wasn't a very eventful episode, not a whole lot happened. So I'm just going to give you guys my thoughts on the episode. We're going to keep this pretty short and concise because I don't really have a whole lot to talk about. So that episode pretty much just is centered around Goku going to Beerus' planet to train with Vegeta. So pretty much what we see there, it's pretty funny because initially it starts off a little bit of a comedy, of course, and Goku's traveling with Whis as he was at the end of the last episode, and he starts talking about how he has to go pee, and Whis was like, nah, if you wet yourself, I'm taking you back. So Goku had to hold it. He winds up getting there, and Vegeta was there on the planet just waiting for Whis to arrive. He didn't know Goku was coming from what I could understand, and he said to the Oracle Fish, has he arrived yet? And Oracle Fish stated, hey, you're actually able to sense God Ki now, which I think is interesting, because you need God Ki to sense God Ki. But at that point, or at least that's, let me backtrack a little bit. That is actually a bit of a, pretty much just the general consensus. I don't think they ever officially stated that. If they did, somebody let me know when and where they said that. So moving forward, Goku and Whis arrive on the planet. Goku states that he didn't even recognize Vegeta. He said Vegeta is at least as strong as he is now, which is very interesting to say the least, because then it begs the question, what kind of training was Vegeta doing? I'm glad you asked, because we then get into that. So it turns out that the deal was that aside from Vegeta having to supply Whis with all the noodles that he brought, he also has to do the housework. And the housework is training in and of itself, because if you watch how they had to, for one, they had to change Beerus' sheets while he was sleeping. That I can only imagine how difficult that is, based on how difficult it was for them to do it. But Vegeta alone, the whole 6 months he had been there doing that every day, that's ridiculous. So that is training in and of itself. If you kind of remember Dragon Ball, they had that whole training where Master Roshi was training them in different ways. Whis is kind of bringing back that old Zen mode training, that it's not just always fighting all the time, but we get into a little bit more training, and it's really interesting. They had the I forgot what those are called, but the bicep things, the weighted bicep things, and Vegeta had been there for a while, so he doubled up on the weight of the previous one that Vegeta was using. They didn't directly state that it's double the weight of Goku's, but they doubled up the one that Vegeta was already using prior to that because it was too easy for him, which is pretty much what we said. So I thought that was pretty interesting because, the freaking path is disappearing, and it's like, oh, if you fall off this path, you'll fall into another dimension and just be unable to return. Wow, talk about motivation to stay alive. So ultimately, they get past that, and then they get into some sparring, and it was interesting because Vegeta states that he had never got the opportunity to spar with Whis, and Whis, he's like, okay, yeah, we can just do it. So he gets into sparring with them, and that's where we get into the Resurrection F stuff. It's interesting as well because, Whis stated Vegeta's weaknesses. He didn't get around to saying Goku's weaknesses, but I think that he omit that because it's going to happen anyway. We're going to see Goku's weakness on full display when he gets blasted by Sorbet. But he omitted that for the time being, and they even did the whole stepped in poo thing. It's whatever. I think that was a reference to Dr. Slump, but anyways, moving forward, let me just say this. I thought that was interesting because I can kind of see the whole dynamic of where this is going, because that right now they're training. Goku just got there. Vegeta had been there for 6 months. Okay, so Vegeta never returned home. Also, it's stated in Resurrection F when Beerus finds out that they're there for the first time, he said, wait a minute, you guys have been coming here repeatedly, which implies that they leave and come. So after the 6-month break, I don't know if they're going to start leaving and coming, or if Goku's going to stay there with Vegeta for another 4 months, because there's going to be another time skip, because next episode is going to be very, very Frieza-centric, and they're going to be reviving Frieza, and obviously Frieza goes off and trains for 4 months. I don't think we'll see too much more of Goku and Vegeta training whatsoever, because there's going to be another time skip. I don't think we'll see Frieza training, which is a bit of a bummer, but it's interesting because, he's saying these things to them now, which is essentially 4 months as opposed to the same day, 4 months in advance. In the movie, he said these to them the exact same day that they went and fought Frieza. So he's saying it to them in advance. That means that maybe Goku will get a handle on it, but the thing about Goku is that, they're making Goku relearn lessons he's already learned. The guy's always been incredibly cocky his whole life, and he always gets his butt whooped, comes back, and he's cocky again because he wins the fight. And it's I don't know. But let me know you guys' thoughts. I just thought that was interesting, and I did want to point that out because they stated that 4 months in advance we're going to be looking at another time skip, which is obviously going to be Frieza training. But that's also, this is the last thing I wanted to mention. At this point, they have not attained Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Slash, Super Saiyan Blue, of course. During that 4-month skip, that is when they're going to achieve it. Because when they get to Frieza and they start fighting Frieza, obviously they're going to have that form already. So it's just, you know, we can start to see things sort of unravel at this point. So let me know you guys' thoughts on the episode. Honestly, I like the episode. It wasn't too much going on there. That's why this was a bit of a shorter review. I've been probably averaging about 8 minutes on these reviews, but it is what it is. Last thing I did want to mention in this video is that we did get to see Vados at the end, and Vados looks fucking bad as oh my god. I'm like, damn, I'm always kind of like, I feel kind of weird talking about anime girls, because while they can be drawn to look attractive, it just feels kind of weird talking about them, you know, from my perspective. But Vados looks fucking bad as fuck, I'm not even gonna lie. And I also I thought that, you know, having Robin from One Piece voice acting for Vados, the same voice actor, I thought that was a great touch. It fits her perfectly, and Champa's voice acting fits him pretty well too. Like, I haven't mentioned this, but Beerus, just on a side note, Beerus' voice actor is fucking remarkable. How he could stop and on the drop of a hat and just boom, you know, tension. You can just hear it in his voice, and then he's all cheery and he's just, you know, being laid back, and he's boom, tension again. That guy's remarkable. But let me know you guys' thoughts on the video, on the episode, my bad, of Dragon Ball Super. Be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe if you are new, and I will catch you guys next time. As I always say, stay swaggy. Peace out, guys.